The origins of Cyberpunk 2077 can be traced back to the 1980s, an era that saw the crystallization of cyberpunk as both an aesthetic and a philosophical movement. This was a time of accelerating technological progress and deepening social anxieties, an age that envisioned the future not as a utopia of enlightenment, but as a neon-drenched dystopia, where power had metastasized into the hands of a few, and humanity itself had become a commodity. Among the seminal works that defined this vision, Bladerunner stands as an enduring touchstone. Ridley Scott's adaptation of Philip K. Dick's Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep was not an immediate commercial triumph. Yet its rain-slicked cityscapes, its corporate-dominated world, and its meditation on identity and artificial life resonated with those attuned to its deeper philosophical implications. One such individual was Mike Pondsmith. Enraptured by Blade Runner's vision of a world where technology had eclipsed morality, Pondsmith resolved to craft his own interpretation of this emerging mythology. Another cornerstone of his inspiration was Walter John Williams' Hardwired, a novel that painted a world where cybernetics and corporate homogeny had reshaped human existence into something barely recognizable. These influences coalesced in Cyberpunk 2020, the tabletop role-playing game that would, decades later, serve as the foundation for Cyberpunk 2077. At its essence, Cyberpunk 2077 is not merely a tale of technological excess or unchecked corporate ambition. It is a meditation on urban dystopia, a world where unbridled innovation collides with the basest aspects of human nature. Here, governance is a fiction, and true power resides not in the hands of elected leaders, but in the fortified boardrooms of mega-corporations whose dominion eclipses that of nation-states. The game rejects the archetype of the traditional hero. Thee is not a savior, not a revolutionary destined to dismantle the system. Thee is a survivor, an individual struggling to carve out an existence in a world explicitly designed to deny them one. Cyberpunk, in its truest form, is not about grand revolutions. It is about defiance in the face of an immutable system. It is about those who exist at the margins, who claw for agency where none is granted, who refuse to accept the fate prescribed to them. The thematic architecture of Cyberpunk 2077 is built upon three fundamental pillars: post-humanism, post-nationalism, and post-industrialism. Post-humanism interrogates the nature of identity in an era where the distinction between man and machine has become porous. It asks, at what point does an individual cease to be human? If the mind can be digitized, if the body can be replaced piece by piece, what remains of the self? Cyberpunk 2077 is steeped in this philosophical dilemma. Cybernetic augmentation is no longer a luxury but a necessity, and in its ubiquity lies the erosion of what it means to be human. The struggle is not merely for survival, it is a confrontation with the dissolution of selfhood. Nowhere is this more evident than in the presence of Johnny Silverhand, an engram imprinted onto V's consciousness. Is he an echo, a mere simulation of a long-dead man? Or is he something more? In a world where memories can be extracted, consciousness can be rewritten, and bodies can be discarded like obsolete hardware, the very notion of personal identity becomes tenuous at best. There exists a common misapprehension that Cyberpunk 2077 is a story of systemic upheaval, a tale of V toppling Arasaka and shattering the corporate machine. But truest Cyberpunk has never been about wholesale revolution. It is about resistance at the most granular level. The genre does not derive its essence from the existence of cyberware, but from its pervasiveness. Were augmentation rare, reserved only for the privileged elite, the world of Cyberpunk 2077 would not be truly cyberpunk. Rather, it is the omnipresence of these technologies, their infiltration into every stratum of society, that defines the genre. As William Gibson observed in Burning Chrome, the street finds its own uses for things. Cyberpunk is not merely a reflection on transhumanism, it is an ethos of repurposing the very tools of oppression into instruments of survival. Post-nationalism examines the decline of traditional government and the ascendancy of corporate dominion. In Cyberpunk 2020, the collapse of global economies created a power vacuum, one swiftly filled by megacorporations, whose influence now eclipses that of any sovereign state. By the time of Cyberpunk 2077, these entities have transcended mere economic power. They are the arbiters of law, the architects of civilization itself. Borders remain, but only as corporate territorial divisions. Citizenship is an obsolete concept, meaningless in a world where one's fate is dictated not by national allegiance, but by corporate affiliation. Arasaka, Militech, Kangtao, these are not businesses, they are empires, wielding private militaries, controlling the flow of information and shaping the very fabric of society. In this world, governance is no longer dictated by democratic will, but by the ruthless calculus of profit and control. To exist outside the dominion of corporate influence is to be nameless, faceless, one of the countless forgotten souls consigned to the slums of Night City, ground beneath the weight of a system designed to extract value from everything, including human life itself. Post-industrialism envisions a future where human labor has been rendered obsolete by automation and artificial intelligence. In Cyberpunk 2077, traditional employment has been eroded. Factories operate without human intervention. AI dictates financial markets, and full-body cyberware replacements are commonplace. Those without the means to augment themselves are relegated to the margins, deemed redundant by a world that no longer has use for them. In this hyper-capitalist dystopia, information is the ultimate currency. The powerful do not trade in gold or goods, but in data, an asset more valuable than any physical commodity. Amid this digital battlefield, Netrunners emerge as the last vestiges of rebellion, modern-day outlaws who infiltrate the impenetrable fortresses of corporate power, wielding lines of code as weapons against an omnipotent system. Ultimately, Cyberpunk 2077 is not a tale of heroism, nor is it a fable of triumphant rebellion. It is a narrative of endurance. V is not an agent of change, not a liberator of the oppressed. V is a survivor, an individual navigating the wreckage of a world where justice and morality have become antiquated concepts. Like Rick Deckard in Bladerunner, V is but a cog in an incomprehensible machine, a pawn in a game played by unseen architects of power. In Bladerunner, the true wielders of authority are never confronted, their presence felt but never seen. Deckard does not dismantle the system. He does not liberate the replicants. In the end, he makes a single choice: to escape with Rachel, to grasp a fleeting moment of autonomy in a world designed to strip it away. This is cyberpunk, not revolution, but defiance, not victory, but survival. It is the refusal to be erased, the determination to carve out a sliver of existence in a world that seeks to crush all who do not conform. Cyberpunk is not merely an aesthetic, it is a philosophy. It is rebellion. It is resistance. It is the last wisp of humanity in a world that no longer has room for it.